fine. But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA.
The WNBA has come to the realization that it would be unwatchable and disastrous without Caitlin Clark, a T2 in the morning. More quickly than a phone's 1% battery, playoff ratings decline. The league is having trouble keeping fans interested. Did spectators go to pickleball highlights or vanish? Keep checking back because the playoffs are more thrilling than real. TV reunion.
Is there any chance that the WNBA, that Kathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit? There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership numbers.
The WNBA anticipated that this season would mark a sea change for the league, showcasing its capacity to take on the big boys. The league seems to have suffered a setback and then pretended that it was deliberate.
To maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game, the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest.
Here, let's be truthful. The WNBA season has been both amazing and terrible. Basketball fans saw a range of many injuries, dubious calls made by referees, and a commissioner who doesn't care about player safety. Defenders declared Caitlin Clark's ankles to be public property, which resulted in her having to pay extra. More time on the bench than on the floor.
Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for this sport.
How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000. So the Fever and their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million.
Predicting the league's demise prior to the playoffs is the most exciting part of the season for supporters. Warning, spoilers, a tiny piece of duct tape holds things together.
NBA's black superstars should thank their lucky stars for the record ratings Caitlin Clark is detonating, even if new fans are mostly white fans. It doesn't matter what color eyeballs are. But the other day, I must admit, it hit me like Katie Bell Henderson telling me that's enough. I told myself it's not racist for me to like
How about the terrible officiating calls? The refs for this season seem to have been plucked from them all. Food court during the busiest hour for lunch. One of them is considering whether to call a flagrant foul while devouring a slice of Sparrow pizza. Someone else seems to have thought they were hired to officiate a roller derby. The consistency is only halfway there. Between Fortune Cookie and Magic 8 Ball, a single game is meaningless, and the subsequent game. Someone will be banished if they sneeze too forcefully. Referees would have a players. 0 negative calls per possession and a turnover stat line.
The WNBA has a problem, and that problem is Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-popping.
The WNBA this year seems less like a basketball league and more like the Christmas wish list of an orthopedic specialist. League as a result of multiple injuries. Rather than playing, Caitlin Clark spent more time recovering. Defenders frequently act as though she owed them money. Every drive to the basket is like a fresh round of, how hard can we smash Caitlin before the referee? Notices? The solution is also harder than you may imagine. There are more victims of the basketball apocalypse besides Clark. There was a sigh of relief in the commissioner's office. All right, good point, one less superstar. We must properly mark it. Angel re-added if Sophie wasn't sufficient. What do you know? I'm leaving. The player's mid-season exit in the WNBA is not considered a surprise, but rather a representation of the league. If the commissioner of the league is incompetent, it makes sense for someone to go since the referees are incompetent and players are dropping like flies. Reese might have chosen to spend her time on Instagram instead of running the risk of getting tackled in a different game, as though she were trying out for the NFL.
A trend that the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up. We want to get these numbers.
These numbers must be returned. This is the problem. All of this doesn't happen in a vacuum. The WNBA has asked for years that it be given greater consideration than it already gets. But the league isn't assisting the circumstance. The commissioner opposes player protection, as though the idea of upholding rules and safeguarding celebrities is unacceptable, is excessively extreme. People watched to see if the excitement was genuine. Before Clark's accident, the days were lovely. ESPN seemed to care all of a sudden. SportsCenter featured highlights, and Twitter users feigned to comprehend pick and roll. The show's ratings fell, even though Angel Reese wanted to finish the season. Upon her departure, point one player is the emphasis of the WNBA's marketing plan, but its officiating approach leads to facial blows. Some fans could argue that injuries and foul calls are merely a bad time, are included in the game, but there's more to this than bad luck. This is terrible leadership. The commissioner has adopted a passive strategy, akin to a substitute instructor who has lost command of the classroom. Rather than dealing with problems, they were still disregarded by the league. Prominent athletes are quitting. Hey, that's all right. Games are rendered unwatchable by referees. Supporters will remain loyal, so don't worry. They didn't, spoiler alert.
Indiana, against the Chicago Sky, right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again. And over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue to do things.
Players who stay healthy have to participate in sports like professional wrestling and rugby. As opposed to conventional basketball, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a WWE match and a playoff game. SummerSlam. You can always count on someone grabbing a steel chair. In the meantime, the commissioner keeps interview people to talk about the league's expansion and zeal. The number of people wearing high heels has increased. My height, IT would be like a home fire with a new lighting design to call this season growth. It's an illusion. These women still give their all in spite of the deteriorating system. Lawmakers who whistle like they don't deserve to be at a children's birthday celebration. Leadership ought to put their health, rather than treating it as an afterthought. They don't deserve to be promoted by a league merely when they handy and deserts them when things get tough. Low viewership marked the conclusion of the WNBA season. Injured stars and fans who doubt the league's sustainability in the long run, congratulations on your anticipated season of growth. Things got out of hand.
The Clark thing, man, I mean, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing what you guys have done. And then people are catching on to your tactics. You got the people on Twitter catching on to your tactics. Like, look at this right here. Look at this right here. They say ESPN didn't want to show the ratings were down from WNBA All-Star Game because Caitlin Clark.
Maybe the commissioner will put player safety first next year. Referees can discover what is a foul. Stars like Caitlin Clark could be able to complete a season without needing to retire early. The WNBA is in a precarious situation till then. This isn't because fans aren't interested. This results from the absence of efficient leadership. This year, the WNBA predicted record-breaking ticket sales. Arenas were packed with spectators that year, waiting outside as if it were the launch of a brand new iPhone. Rather, the sound of empty seats is louder. More than the whistles of the referee. Popcorn vendors groan as they beg consumers to buy hot dogs. The majority of games ticket sales are similar to. A department store that was struggling had a clearance rack. Although fans are more interested, the corporation claims to have a rising fan base. In expanding their Netflix library, WNBA ticket sales would have collapsed like a Jenga tower in the absence of Clark, Cunningham, and Rhee. An earthquake. The most hilarious part is the league's attempts to distort the facts. Posts on social media are still be distributed as normal. Another fantastic night of play, according to WNBA fans. Where's the excitement? Fans question in the comments. Which another dimension game were you referring to? Many users reply with memes showing drifting tumbleweeds over vacant chairs. When your marketing tweets become a comedy performance for disillusioned fans, it's terrible. The commissioner should not be overlooked for her flawless performance. She should win an Oscar on camera. She describes the current state of the league as the best it has ever been. Consider the Titanic's captain boasting about how the ship looks underwater.